Hey man, welcome to the Super Divorce channel. If you think you're gonna like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up now. And if you're digging it here, go ahead and subscribe. Just make sure you bong the gong for notifications so you know when new videos go live. Now then, please look forward to this video. Enjoy, chefs. Hey man, welcome to the Super Divorce channel. Nicholas Villars here, aka Super Divorce. Today, I'd like to tell you about the first book in R.L Stine's celebrated young adult Fear Street series. This one, from way back in 1989, is called The New Girl. It's a haunting tale of love, murder, mystery, and friendship. I picked up my copy via eBay with the original artwork, the best artwork. There have been a few different versions released, but they are all absolute shit, except for the first. I mean, look at these later editions. Not only do they appear sterile and boring, but this chick, she looks like she's holding her crotch because she just pissed herself. This one, well, it looks like it should be the cover for the paperback novel adaptation of the 90s classic Clueless.
Whatever.
This one, what are we even looking at here? Curtains made out of blood? What the shit does this have to do with anything? Who exactly were they targeting with the marketing on this one? Window dressing enthusiasts? Anyway, the book begins with a quick but deadly prologue in which an unnamed sibling reflects maliciously on having just pushed their sister Anna to her death. As the mother of the household returns home, this evil sibling begins to feign shock and breaks the news that a tragic accident has occurred.
Uh-oh.
Anna is dead.
Oh no.
And on to chapter 1. Here we meet the three big players involved in the main story. First, Corey Brooks, a curly-haired young high school gymnast who's infatuated with the at school. A ghostly blonde beauty named Anna. The dead girl from the prologue? Patience. Patience. We'll get there. And finally, Corey's neighbor and great friend since early childhood, the Cher-esque Lisa Bloom, who has developed feelings for Corey throughout their teen years. Unfortunately for Lisa, all Corey can do since seeing Anna is gush about her, oftentimes directly to Lisa's face, despite her obvious annoyance. But hey, Lisa's such a good friend, she puts her personal feelings aside and provides Corey with the little bit of information anyone seems to know about this elusive new girl. Lisa has third period physics class with Anna, and Anna sits in the back row, pale as a ghost and silent, also frequently absent from school. Lisa does know, however, that Anna's transferred to their Shady Side High from the nearby Melrose. Oh, and Anna also lives on the titular Fear Street, a street on the south edge of town that winds through a heavily wooded area past the cemetery. Most locals in Shadyside seem to believe Fear Street is cursed.
Not a death curse!
From the blackened shell of old Simon Fear's burned-out mansion to numerous disappearances, monstrous creatures sighted, blood-curdling howls in the night, and other inexplicable oddities. Everyone has their reason for staying away from Fear. Anyhow, Corey, now armed with Anna's last name and street of residence, dials up the damn operator and gets Anna's digits, as well as her full home address. Hey, who needs to work up the courage to ask a chick for her phone number when the operator will gladly pass it along without question? Anyway, Corey takes a few minutes to talk himself into giving the number a try, and when he finally does, a young man answers the phone sounding slightly bothered. Corey asks for Anna, and though the irritated man on the other end of the line confirms it is the Corwin residence, he tells Corey no one named Anna lives there. Thus, the phone call ends abruptly. Later that week, Saturday night to be exact, Corey finds himself over at his friend Lisa's place, alone. She's being very flirtatious. But Corey is a complete dumbass and doesn't pick up on it. Instead, he repays her advances with more questions about Anna fucking Corwin. You will not be surprised to hear that Lisa promptly kicks Corey out of her house, though he has no idea why. But it doesn't bother him too much as he goes straight home and calls the Corwin house once more. Surely the previous response he got must have been a mistake. This time, when the Corwins pick up, he hears Anna screaming in the background. She's crying out that she knows the phone call is for her, but she's being kept from taking it. The line goes dead, and he decides he's going to go over to the Corwins his damn self and see about all this horse shit firsthand. It's an unnerving drive over to Fear Street, and his walk to the Corwins' front porch isn't without minor incident, as he's confronted by a strange man who advises Corey against bothering the Corwins. Corey pays the warning no mind, though, and advances to the front door where he's met by a pudgy young fella, likely in his early 20s, with a hacking smoker's cough and thinning blonde hair. Long story short, this guy gives Corey some bad news. Anna is dead. And stop bothering us here. And for good measure, this unpleasant, balding fatso, well, he gives Corey a call in the middle of the night shortly after this encounter. And he has a menacing warning to Corey to stay away from Anna, or else he will be dead soon too. Corey lies back down and attempts to drift off when his phone rings again. This time, it's Anna herself, begging him to come and meet her at the corner of Fear Street.
Please.
She needs help, and Corey's the only one she can trust. Well, needless to say, Corey's hauling ass over to Fear Street at 1:30 a.m. for his dream girl, even if she is a ghost. When he arrives, she hops in his car, and they get involved in a pretty intense makeout session that leaves the young man with a bloody lip.
Ow!
When they pull their faces apart for a few seconds, Corey asks her about the guy who answered the door at her house. What's up with Pancake's poopy pants? Apparently, it's Anna's brother Brad, a bit of a loose cannon. Anna says he'll say anything. He's crazy. Don't trust him. But he can be dangerous. After that explanation, the conversation has caused Anna to lose that loving feeling, and she's off into the night, leaving Corey like the proverbial atheist at the funeral, all dressed up, nowhere to go. At Corey's gymnastics meet the next day, he's taking a break and runs into Lisa. She's been looking for him with urgent news about Anna. According to an acquaintance from the nearby Melrose, the school Anna transferred from, Anna is, in fact, dead. Too curious to wait for answers, Corey ditches his meet early and accompanies Lisa to the local library where they search the old news headlines on microfilm. Doesn't take them long to find what they're looking for.
Aha!
A newspaper article from the previous spring that reads, Anna Corwin, Melrose sophomore, dies in accident. The photo shown with the article is one of a blonde girl with those eyes Corey's been obsessing over. It's Anna, all right. And that night, the dead girl calls him directly. She begs him to meet her once more. Of course, he scrambles to see her, but this time she doesn't show up. Feeling rather bold, Corey marches right up to the Corwins' house and bangs on the door as aggressively as he can. Bad move. The door flings open and Anna's brother, Pillsbury Brad, is in a rage. He grabs Corey and pulls him into the house, saying he's going to get rid of Corey once and for all. However, he has a moment of mercy and allows Corey to escape back out into the night, but not before telling him to never come back. These are strange days for Corey Brooks, and at school, the unusual continues, as Lisa, his old childhood friend, takes bold action and asks Corey to the upcoming school dance. This seems to be the first time he's ever had any idea that she might be romantically interested in him. And he actually accepts her offer enthusiastically.
Hell yeah!
And just after their date is set, Anna appears as if from nowhere, introducing herself to Lisa, then apologizing for interrupting their discussion of their upcoming dance plans. Lisa isn't much bothered by it, as she has to be off to her next class. Once she's out of sight, though, Anna engages Corey again in an impromptu makeout session right in the middle of the hall. Then she's off down the hallway and Corey is left standing there, bewildered. Later that afternoon, as Shul is letting out, Corey walks with Lisa to her locker to gather up her items before heading home. Whoops! When she opens her locker, she finds a dead cat, with its stomach slashed open and guts spilling out everywhere. There's a note attached to the cat that reads, "Lisa, you're dead too." From that point until the night of the dance, Lisa is convinced that Anna is the one who put the cat in her locker, because she believes that Anna is jealous. She believes that Anna wanted to go to the dance with Corey, and she did. She says so. Lisa and Corey even get into a heated argument on the dance floor when the dead cat situation comes up in conversation. Lisa flees the scene, heading out of the school gym and into the halls by herself. Maybe a couple minutes pass before the good times are stopped at the sound of a blood-curdling scream. Students flood out of the gym to investigate, and they find Lisa at the bottom of a stairwell. Corey comes to help her up, and she tells him someone pushed her down. As the classmates file back into the gym and the music starts up again, Corey and Lisa set out through the halls in search of her attacker. After stumbling upon a couple classmates fooling around in a sex way, a shadowy figure steps forward and confirms it's definitely Anna's brother Brad. He mutters something under his breath, and they can only make out the final word, "mistake," before he recedes into the shadows and disappears into the bowels of the school. So Corey and Lisa head back to her house. Perhaps it's the excitement of the night, Lisa avoiding possible death, and their brush with the psychotic plumpster Brad, but the former childhood friends seem to have finally bonded romantically. They sit and talk about the crazy evening, and soon they're sharing their first kiss. However, cruel fate rears its ugly head and the phone rings, interrupting their tender moment. Lisa, startled, picks up the phone and is met only with heavy, ominous breathing. She slams the phone down on the receiver and insists on calling the police. Corey, however, pleads with her to let him talk to Anna one more time before they get the boys in blue involved in this mess. He has to wait a couple days, but Corey finally catches up with Anna at the local mall. The two of them take a seat at the food court pizza house, and Corey demands the truth about her and Brad. Anna reveals that her father abandoned their family several years prior, leaving her mother unwell. As for Big Bones Brad, he lost a serious girlfriend in a plane crash, a girl named Emily. The loss seemed to fracture his psyche, so much so he became bizarrely overprotective of his and Anna's other sister, Willa. He also began calling Willa by his dead girlfriend's name. Then he started telling people that his sister Willa was dead, even when they would be in the same room together. And one day, Willa actually did die. She fell down their basement stairs while home alone with Brad. He claimed she had a horrible accident, but Anna and her mother never believed him. Then, Brad got worse. He started telling people that Anna was dead. He even contacted the newspaper before Willa's obituary was printed and informed them that there'd been a mistake. In his mind, his sister Anna was the one who died. And he made sure the paper reflected that reality. So that explained the newspaper clipping that Corey and Lisa had found. In light of all these things, Anna and her mother decided to move to Shadyside, hoping the move might snap Brad out of his psychosis. But it hadn't seemed to help. Just then, in the middle of their illuminating conversation, Corey and Anna spot Brad staring at them from outside the pizza house. He looks to be on the verge of a berserker rage. Personally, I think he was just upset he didn't have money for pizza because he'd spend it all on Marlboro Reds. But that's just my headcanon. Anyway, Anna, terrified, quickly jumps up and escapes out the back door of the restaurant. Corey rushes home and begins calling Anna's house repeatedly. No answer, no answer, no answer. Finally, Brad picks up and tells Corey matter-of-factly, "I've eaten Anna and my mother, and I'm going to eat you next." Just kidding. Not for some reason I like making fun of this guy. Seriously though, Brad tells Corey that Anna is dead. Click. Had he finally done it? Corey jets to the Corwin house and manages to intrude in the midst of a screaming match between Anna and Brad. Okay, she's still alive. Good. As soon as Corey enters the room, though, it turns physical. Brad attempts to wrestle Corey to the ground while Anna screams for help. Finally, Corey squirms free and finds a vase that he uses to break over the head of Brad, knocking him out cold. And this brings us to the final moments of the book. So, if you don't want to know how it ends, stop the damn tape now and go get yourself a copy of R.L Stine's The New Girl, the first entry in the Fear Street series. Now, on to the finale. In this tense moment, Corey pleads with Anna to get out of the house before Brad wakes up, but she seems oddly calm, almost turned on by what's transpired. She takes Corey's hand and invites him upstairs to her bedroom.
Oh my.
She says she wants to celebrate. Well, okay. So Corey follows her, entranced. She says there's something she wants to show him. When they make it to the top of the stairs, Anna reaches down and picks up an object. It's tough to make out in the dim light what she's holding, but then it becomes clear. A nice, sharp letter opener. She tells Corey this will take care of Brad for good. Corey's not comfortable with delivering this kind of judgment. He tries to calm Anna down, but she screams that no one will stop her, not even Corey. Then, she takes a swing at him. After a near fall from the upstairs window, Corey regains his equilibrium and kicks the knife out of Anna's hand before restraining her and making his way down the stairs to where Brad is now up and waiting. And then the truth comes out. Here it is. Anna is not Anna at all. Who we thought was Anna is actually Willa. The real Anna did die. That opening segment of the book, that was Willa looking down on Anna's dead body after pushing her to her death. Why? Because Willa felt inferior. Anna was the beautiful one, the one everyone loved and wanted to be friends with, the one her parents favored. Willa decided to get rid of her sister. And though Brad and her mother could never prove it, they always had their suspicions. They moved from Melrose to Shadyside in an effort to start fresh. But once Willa got involved with Corey, that's when Brad knew she was still dangerous. She was going by Anna's name at school, dressing like Anna, wanting to be her dead sister. Brad, God love him, he tried to keep Corey away because he didn't want his insane sister hurting anyone else. Shyamalan couldn't have written it better himself. And our tale wraps up with sweet Willa going to jail and Lisa finally getting her man in Corey. I must say, The New Girl was a fun read. At 168 pages, it's perfectly reasonable to assume you could sit down and breeze through it in one single sitting. And it took me a couple days to get all the way through because I had to break up my reading sessions, but it seemed like it zipped right by. As for R.L Stine's writing in this Fear Street series, it's just as easily digestible as any Goosebumps book I've ever read, but quite a bit darker, more adult, and definitely featuring more romance or sex appeal than you're probably used to in a Stine book. That is, if you've never read anything from the Fear Street pantheon before, which I had not. You know, when you think of Goosebumps, you think of the elementary school book fair and the classic but cheesy show from the 90s, which I always thought was inferior to the sometimes legitimately scary Are You Afraid of the Dark? But this story, however, struck me as a conceivably R-rated thriller. I guess that's why the upcoming Fear Street trilogy of films on Netflix are rated R. Cool to see them deciding to match the tone of the books. So if you're looking for a bit of suspenseful fiction that won't require too much reading time, please look forward to checking out The New Girl from R.L Stine. I think you'll enjoy it. Hey, I sure as heck did.
We can go go viral with this one.